Hi, my name is Parsons. I'm a collegiate bass fisherman, and today I'm going to show you around my home lake, Bass Lake in Lake County, Irons, Michigan. Let's get at it. Right now we're fishing, this is an island to the left of here, and then this is another island here. So we're fishing in a channel here, and the fish tend to hang in between the islands because they can go up on the lily pads and feed at night or in the morning. But right now the fish are out deeper, so we won't give the lily pads a shot right now. And Bass Lake, the lake we're fishing today, is 290 acres. It's primarily clear water. Right now we got about 3.5 foot visibility. It's typically about 7 or 8 feet visibility, but for some reason it's kind of dingy. And the lure right now I'm using is a Texas rig tube with a 3/16 bullet sinker. The primary cover in Bass Lake is typically we just got weeds, so the fish tend to congregate around the weeds. There's not a whole lot of rock or sand. There's a little bit of sand, and the fish will hang on the sand, but it's typically barren muck, and when you come across some weeds, that's usually when you get into them. Little guy. It's a largemouth bass. Unfortunately, Bass Lake, there's too many of these little guys in here. Not enough big ones. How I'm fishing this tube is I'm casting out there, letting it sink on slack line, quickly pick up the line, and a lot of times you'll get that first strike when it falls, because that tube falls in a circle like a dying. Anything that's dying, it usually has that irregularity, it's spinning or it's twitching, something to ignite that reaction from the bass. And once it's all the way down and it's spiraled down, then I'll pick up the slack line and I'll pop it. And reel up that slack, pop it again, just like that. So a little quick pop, and that bait will just dart off the bottom, just like a crawdad or anything that's swimming down there. That's the bait. It's darting real quick. So how I'm finding these productive weed areas, I'm using my Humminbird Electronics 858, and what we're looking at here is we're in 12 foot of water, and this red, that's the bottom, that red bottom. So this line right here is the bottom, with that distinct red, because red means hard surface. And then we got all this blue and green, that's weed growth. So it's growing up about 5 feet up from the bottom, and I'm letting my tube, it'll just slither right down in the weeds, and then I pop it up, and I'll pop it above the weeds, and those fish see it and they'll just come up and just nail it. So right now I'm fishing a slow drop. Out here we got about a 30-foot hole, and it slowly comes up. We're sitting in 15 feet of water, and then it comes right up to the bank. So it's not a steep drop by any means, but it's that slow drop, and the weeds will grow to about 14 feet. Anything deeper, the weeds, there's not enough light for the weeds to come down and get good weed growth. So I'm following this weed line all the way around, and in this bay, it'll deepen up in the little, and it'll come back around. So the tube wasn't working that well, bite's kind of tough, and so what I tied on is a Spro McStick jerk bait. So what this will do is it's suspending. So I'll reel down about 4 cranks, then I'll jerk my line about 2 times and then let it sit, and it'll suspend right there, and it'll point nose down. And when it's just sitting there, it'll bring those fish in, and once I jerk it again, they'll react and strike. So this jerk bait, this will typically dive anywhere from 3 to 7 feet depending on your line. If you have a little fluorocarbon as a sinking line, and it'll tend to sink more. Right now I'm throwing mono because I don't want the bait to run too deep, because we got weed growth off the bottom. We're sitting in 12 foot. And when I jerk, I'm not reeling as I'm jerking like this. That's not what a jerk bait, you don't get the best action out of it. You want to jerk on a slack line just like that, and then reel up the slack. And you want to jerk that slack line, and what causes that jerk bait to dart erratically, then a zigzag. Well, it seems like they're not in this deeper areas here. We're not really getting bites. So I'm gonna pick up a frog. And there's some lily pads up here. We're sitting about 10 feet of water, and it'll shallow up to about 3 foot where those lily pads are. So I'm gonna tie in a little hollow belly frog here. It's Ish's Poppin' Fatty is what it's called. And it's got those hooks, and then they can go through those lily pads. And when the bass hits it, it exposes the hook. So we got a weedless approach. One of the most productive ways to catch bass on this lake is fishing boat docks. And there's really 2 major ways that I fish boat docks. And the primary one is fishing a jig, like so. It's got a half-ounce football head jig with a crawdad trailer in the back. And I just scoot that right across the bottom just like that, just like a crawdad. So how I fish the docks is I'm just going to underhand pitch right into there. And kind of just jig a little bit on the bottom and try to imitate a crayfish fleeing. And after I've pitched under the front of the pontoon a couple times, I'll pitch into the side, way up in the side. I switched back to the tube. I didn't have much luck with the frog or the jerkbait, but it might just be that we're in an area where the fish aren't holding, so we're gonna move around the corner here and see if we can't get some bites off this point of this island. Got one. We moved to a different area, and I think that moving to that different area was really key to getting more bites here. How to rig a Texas rig. I think it's important that I show you how I rig this. So today I'm Texas rigging a tube, and how I'm going to do that is you're going to need a extra wide gap hook, a 3/0, 4/0, depending on how big your size of your tube is. And take my tube. This is a Poor Boys green pumpkin tube. I'm going to take the hook, I'm going to come in from the top of the nose of the bait, and then I'm going to punch it through the side. I'm going to bring the tube up the hook and set it on that keeper, so that hook is just like so. And then I'm going to line it up straight to where I think where that hook should go. And I'm going to mark that spot where that hook is with my thumb, my fingernail, and I'm going to bend the hook and put it in where that spot where my fingernail is. And I'm going to bring it up just like that, and it's going to be a weedless presentation that way. And then when that fish chomps down on it, it's going to expose that hook, and then I'm going to set the hook. But there's multiple ways to rig a tube, but when you're fishing in grass or weeds, having that weedless presentation will allow you to get will get you more strikes, because you won't be taking the weeds off your hook, having it not exposed. Right over here, there's a little sandbar that comes out, and it kind of troughs up to a sandbar right here, and the fish will hang on that sandbar because the crawdads and different bait fish will hang around that sand.
Oh, Dad, I got a question. Did you ever have to use that recharge thing where it charges up and then you can charge your phone?
Got one. These little guys don't put up much of a fight.